Hello and welcome back to Colorado Springs FPV. My name's Brian, and today we're going to be going through and installing an FrSky XSR receiver onto the RDQ 182 that we have been building over the past couple of videos. I'm also going to go through and show you how to reinstall an antenna that has been chopped or damaged onto an XSR. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, if you remember from last time, we kind of left off finishing here, and I was kind of doing a tutorial on where to solder the quick connect on our flight controller here into the PWM spots under the bottom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to install our FrSky XSR receiver. Got this in the mail a couple days ago, as well as a couple extra antennas so that we can solder those onto our broken XSR. So we're going to set those aside for now. We're going to pull out our existing XSR right now. So this is the guy, super small, not very big, which is really nice. Very short antennas too. I like that aspect of it because then it makes it kind of easier to not get them chopped, but still pretty interesting. Then we also have our quick connect port for our XSR. I personally like this because sometimes I put my XSR on the ceiling on the top plate of my quad and just in certain areas, and sometimes it's always nice to have the removability of it. I know a lot of guys don't like it because it adds a little bit of extra weight having the connector on both of these here, but makes it easy to be able to plug in, figure out what you need to do and where you need to go, and then I'll show you where to solder on the tips of our wires here onto our flight controller so that it can get the signal and all of that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. I'm heating up my soldering iron and we'll go ahead and get started. And so I'm going to go over the wires here. We've got our ground wire right here. Then we've got our plus 5 volts from our flight controller. This one is going to be our S port. And then this one here is going to be our CPPM. That is if you still use CPPM. And then all the way down here is going to be our SBUS. I am kind of particular about how I like the orientation of my wires, so I'm going to go ahead and switch some of these around and actually remove one. The green one there I don't need because it is CPPM and I run SBUS. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that green wire, rearrange some of the other ones, and then we'll go ahead and start soldering things down. And so the reason I rearrange these wires, the yellow and the white one here, is I personally like the white wire to be our our S port, and that's going to be for telemetry. So we're going to go through and we're going to use the S port, and that's going to be the white wire, and I just like to keep that white just for my own personal preference. And yellow is typically signal for me, so that's why I kind of like to do that. So that's our SBUS port right here, and I like to keep that signal wire yellow. So now we're going to go ahead and get it soldered to the flight controller. So for our X-Racer flight controller, there's some very simple ports on where to plug this in, and it makes it very easy. So if you kind of look down right over here, you've got this little part that says SBUS. And so these are going to be all your ports, keeping in mind that ground is always to the outside. Power is going to be the middle rail, and then your signal is going to be the inside rail here. And if you ever get lost, you can kind of look right over here where it says ground, voltage, signal. So just use those rails there, and we're going to be soldering our SBUS, the yellow wire right here, the black ground, or the red 5 volt, and then the black ground on the outside here. So it's going to be the 3 spots that we solder to. And then for the final port, our S port, which is going to be our telemetry, that is going to get soldered to UART1 transmit 1 TX. So you want to do the transmit. Make sure you do not do RX because we're trying to transmit telemetry from here. So we're going to go ahead and get those soldered, and then we'll move forward. So now we have our ground, power, and signal for SBUS all soldered into their appropriate spots. Don't mind that white wire. Give it a kind of a jiggle just to make sure, and a little tug just to make sure it's nice and soldered in there well. And now let's go ahead and do the S port on the transmit 1 of UART1. Alright, so now we have our S port all soldered into the flight controller and ready to go. So now we're going to go ahead and put this into our craft, turn it on, and get it bound to our Tyrannus. Connected. And if you ever are lost on what port is what, and the diagram that I posted didn't quite help you, if you look on the back, it's actually listed right here next to the connector. So first you want to get your Tyrannus out, of course, and then you want to just get a battery. Doesn't have to be fully charged or anything like that. It just needs to be a battery with a slight charge.
Welcome to OpenTX. Throttle warning.
So open up your Tyrannus. Make sure you get to the correct model that you have. If you haven't created a model yet, you're going to want to create a model and do all that. There are plenty of videos online on how to create a model, so I don't want to really go over that, just to keep things nice and short in this video. So if you already have your model set, go ahead and select it.
Warning.
Just for throttle warning's sake, we're going to take these off. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to go into your menu tab. What you're going to want to do is you're going to go click menu, and then you're going to go to page. And so you're going to go to model setup, and you're going to go down to the bottom of model setup to where it says bind. And you're going to go ahead and click enter, and it's going to start chirping. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to power on and press this tiny frickin' button right here at the same time. You can feel it click because it clicks nicely. So what I like to do to make things simple is I'll go underneath, I'll use the XT60 as my button presser, and then I will plug it in. And so that means it is bound. We're gonna go ahead and unplug, click enter. I'm gonna click exit now, just to go all the way out to this home screen. And we're gonna give it a test, just to make sure it really did bind. So then I'm just gonna plug it in without pressing any buttons. And then if you notice here, our receiver came on with just a green light with no red lights. And that means it's bound. You also know how it's bound because if you go onto your Tyrannus, this is your battery. This second one is your signal to your quadcopter. So if that has a signal, then you know it's bound. So that's it for the XSR installation. We're gonna go ahead and go into how to replace an XSR antenna, and we're gonna probably do that one super quick just because it's not very hard at all. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do here is I've got you guys zoomed in super close to my XSR right now, and I've gone ahead and uncovered the antenna that is chopped, and you can really see here the coaxial where you have the sheathing here being soldered down to this pad over here, and then you've got the very inside wire over here soldered down at the very tip up top here. So you're gonna have to be really precise because right now it looks pretty big, but it is super tiny, very small. So you're gonna need a very fine tip soldering iron to really get this pretty good. I mean, I know some of you skilled guys out there can probably do it with any tipped iron, but you're gonna want to kind of get a sharp point, kind of like these tweezers here that I've got. So I'm gonna go in and go ahead and remove this wire and see if I can't keep you guys super zoomed in the whole entire time. So now I've got the sheathing removed. You can kind of see it's been detached there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull the small one. Boom, that one just requires a quick touch, nothing too much. So I've gone in and pre-tinned the wire here that you can see the sheathing's got a good amount of solder on the tip there, and I did put a little extra on the very tip top there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. It's easiest to touch down the small wire first. Get that one set. Give it a tug, make sure you've got it good. Make sure it's far enough. You want to make sure it's far enough in so that none of the sheathing solder overlaps onto this solder point right here. That's why they're separated in the first place. That looks like to me that is a pretty good connection there. Connected both at the top and on the side there. So this XSR antenna is completely fixed. Alright, so a quick look at our build after I finished everything up. So I've got our XSR taped onto the back here. Just kind of wrapped a layer of tape around the outside. Kind of helps with some protectiveness on the inside. Nothing too crazy because you still have the gap underneath here. I did throw some electrical tape on our ESCs here to kind of hold those down more firmly. And then as far as my antennas go, I kind of like doing this setup here. I know it's not at a 45-degree angle, so I might have a fail-safe happen with this. So if you have a different way, maybe recommend it to me. I know there's some pods out there specifically for this frame that are pretty badass. And they include a mount for your antennas and your VTXs. So I might have to look into some of those pods out there, but this is kind of a quick wrapped up finished look of our quadcopter. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you know now how to install an XSR onto your X-Racer flight controller, or for that matter an XSR on any flight controller. Just kind of look for the SBUS port and the TX port. And then hopefully you know how to fix an XSR antenna now, because that was super easy as well. 2 quick solders will get that sucker right back on and get you back in the air. So thank you so much for watching the video again. Please like, subscribe, share the video, comment, whatever you think I should work on, or any tips that you think you have for me that'll make my builds even better than they already are. Well, thank you so much again. This is Colorado Springs FPV, BarbiCyanide, out.